So today I just want to, kind of explain a few thoughts. Um, I'm riding, this is Uta's horse now, it used to be mine, and basically she just trail rides and goes to the beach and stuff and ropes occasionally. But she couldn't ride him today, so she asked me to. And so what I'm doing is just taking a little time and going through some small stuff. She was complaining, when he's riding on the beach and stuff, he's pushing down into her hand, into the bit and stuff. So I thought I'd just take a little time working on some slow transitions. I started, I've rode this horse maybe twice this year so far. And what I'm doing first is just tying him into my seat. First, we just walked around and got him nice and loose and feeling comfortable and feeling for my changes of balance. And now I'm just going in between, kind of letting him out and bringing him in, letting him out and bringing him in. And when I do this, I'm just creating some little shapes, and here. And so the shoulder is the head of the hip, more into the inside of the center of the arena, creating a little shoulder in action. Maybe not the exact definition like a dressage horse, but just creating the shape and then watching for the horses to stay relaxed. So I'm not making a lot of contact. I've got basically the reins over one finger. And all I'm trying to do is just, when I change my body and change the balance of the bit a little bit and kind of hold up and get him to feeling the wall of balance, which is spade bit has this nice large mouthpiece that the horse can balance with. I don't want my horses behind the bit or pushing on the bit. I want them kind of just staying with the balance of the bit and with the balance of my body. And so it's always the body first, and I'm always thinking of back to front. So a lot of times I'm more concerned with where the feet go and how the body bends. So through this process, that's really what I'm trying to do, is just manipulate his body slightly by pushing energy through a certain sit bone, but each time you do that, it's only for one step. And I think that's what people don't understand. You engage your core for one step, and then the next diagonal you have to release that. So staying in one place, holding the horse in a place, is not something that I want to do as I create these balance points. So right there, I just put his hip a little bit ahead of his shoulder, more to the inside than his shoulder. And these things are kind of different than you'll see a lot of times with, say, a dressage test or something like that, because that's really what I'm trying to do, is get him to relax into those shapes. I shape my horse through laterals. Of course, I'm riding a long Western saddle, that's built to rope, and so it's a solid saddle built to protect. It's got 24-inch bars instead of like 18-inch bars like a dressage saddle might have. And so the tree is a lot more solid, and you just can't bend a horse as much through the center as you can on different types of saddles, say like a dressage saddle or an English saddle. And that's just, that's a fact. We need to rope. We're also just, I have the reins over my finger on my bridle hand. And so that's just making sure that I'm lifting on him and not pulling back. A lot of times if I run him through the bottom of my hand, which I do, then I tend to pull a little more, and I don't want to get him behind the bit. I want him to just stay with it. When he gets behind it, I just relax my body. I relax my core. So I'm nudging him up to this spot to where he's more together, and then trying to create a little shape one way or the other, you know, either through the shoulders or the hips. It really doesn't matter. As long as he's kind of staying in the middle of things and balancing there. And I'll create that energy where he comes up. And what I'm looking for is the horse to just lift his shoulders up, get more together, but stay balanced. And as soon as he gives me a little of that, I just relax and let him walk out and stretch that back out. It's like any physical activity that we do, right? When we bring this horse's energy up, I'm basically pushing him up to the wall. And the wall is the balance point of the bit. I'm pushing him up there very casually, one side at a time. I may emphasize one side more than another. I may emphasize the hip more than the shoulder, or the shoulder more than the hip. But I'm pushing him up to this point. Because that's really what I need as a bridle horse or a Western horse. I'm not really trying to do many of the things that, you know, like high school dressage horses are doing, just because, you know, it's one thing to push a horse's energy up with our bodies and our seat and stuff, but when you're got a cow horse, or horses works cows as well, the energy often comes from the animals that they're working. And so they'll get more excited about that. So if you get a horse really, really, you know, doing piaffe and passage and stuff, you add that extra energy from working cows and being excited about working cows, and you're going to have a horse that's pretty spastic to work cows on. I need a horse that just goes from being together and up and mobile to where I can start to change my body and lift my body and have him easily, you know, go up to the next thing and then come right back down and relax and not be excited or have anxiety about that. So much of what I'm doing here, as I'm just playing with this horse's energy and how it's following my seat, is I'm adjusting the way that I present myself to the horse. You know, how much energy I put through my seat and things like that. And so if you'll come down and just get calm, that's really important to me. Here I'm working on a little more of the hip ahead. You know, or hip to the inside, I guess you'd call it. It's not really a haunches in, apparently, but it's kind of that idea, right? And what it is just to create shapes, to get the horse to put a little more weight on his hind end and lighten his shoulders. To me, that's the whole goal of collection, especially in cow horses, is that I want him to take a little more responsibility through his hind end, yet remain really light on his front. And so if he's loading into my hands with a lot of weight, I don't believe that's really happening. It may appear to be happening, but I don't believe it's really happening, or he's doing it and maintaining it himself. And I really want my horse to become, I use these exercises to get my horse to being owning it himself, you know, to where he just feels my change in my body and the reins really don't have to do much. And then I can adjust my body by moving my rib cage here or there, or my sit bone from one side to the other, or forward or back a little bit, and be able to adjust that horse's body real easily. And doing this here, what I've done is I'm just walking these exercises. You know, I want to control each footfall a little bit to where I can almost like hold them in the air by just changing my seat, right? And so it's a real isometric workout for the horse. And you have to be kind of careful doing this, that you don't get your horse all jacked up. But if you're doing it correctly and you're watching for the release in the horse's muscles to have him not build tension, but actually be able to engage him and have that tension just release with every step, because your movement of your body, or absorb their energy through softening your back and your seat, or lifting the energy up with your seat and your chest, and then come right back down. These are valuable little exercises that might help you really develop your horse a little bit with this isometric stuff, build some strength and flexibility. So hopefully it's stuff that you can see and maybe be helpful to you, a little bit at a time, of course, just tiny bits at a time, just to help you build some more up in your horse, some more gather in your horse.